a dance. Excellent. There, please pick translation devices at the back of the room. Interpretation channels: English, Channel 1, French, Channel 2, Portuguese, Channel 3, Arabic, Channel 4.
Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Mzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, habari gani? Nzuri sana. Wageni wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu hakuna matata. Twende Amboseli tukaone wanyama, simba na wenzake hakuna matata. Twende huko Tsavo tukaone kifaru wakila hata nyasi, hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, hakuna matata. Hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, hakuna matata. Jambo bwana, hakuna matata.
Nimfuge ndege gani awe wangu? Nimfuge ndege gani awe wangu? Kila ndege nilofuga kanitoroka, chechere nalo mwamini kavunja mtono. Kila ndege nilofuga kanitoroka, mama ye, chechere nalo mwamini kavunja mtono. Nilie mimi na nani, nalia na dunia. Nilie mimi na nani, nalia na dunia. Nitamfuga ndege gani awe wangu? Nitamfuga ndege gani awe wangu? Kila ndege nilofuga kanitoroka, chechere nalo mwamini kavunja mtono. Kila ndege nilofuga kanitoroka, chechere nalo mwamini kavunja mtono.
karibu tukae wawili, karibu tukae wawili, unibembeleze.
Penzi, karibu tukae wawili, karibu tukae wawili, unibembeleze. Nalia, moyo waniuma, nalia, moyo waniuma. Na iwapo kina umenikasirisha, kina umenikasirisha kwa mahaba yetu. Na iwapo kina umenikasirisha, kina umenikasirisha kwa mahaba yetu. Ahoa.
Penzi, karibu tukae wawili, karibu tukae wawili, unibembeleze.
Penzi, karibu tukae wawili, karibu tukae wawili, unibembeleze. Nalia, moyo waniuma, nalia, moyo waniuma. Na iwapo kina umenikasirisha, kina umenikasirisha kwa mahaba yetu. Na iwapo kina umenikasirisha, kina umenikasirisha kwa mahaba yetu. Ewe Kaloleni, sikiza kilio, mimi situkani wala sishutumu, sikuwasengenya wala kulaumu, bali ni majonzi uja moyoni. Tupelekeni haikoti, jamani, tuwe wafungwa, na hivi sasa yaliyobaki ni majonzi moyoni. Tupelekeni haikoti, jamani, tuwe wafungwa, na hivi sasa yaliyobaki ni majonzi moyoni, ni majonzi moyoni, ni majonzi moyoni.
Nalilala chali, nikaota ndoto, mji wa Mombasa umeshika moto. Nalilala chali, nikaota ndoto, mji wa Mombasa umeshika moto. Sekere kono la bangili, tuishi wawili. Chekere chekere kono la bangili, penzi la mpenda, tuishi wawili. Baba mtoto nishone koti, mwanamke mzuri sana ni muonge noti. Baba mtoto nishone koti, mwanamke mzuri sana ni muonge noti. Chekere chekere
Asante sana Utawala Band. So thank you so much for your patience, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Ellis.
Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, let us be upstanding as we welcome our delegation to guide us.
Check 1, 2. Let's put a roll of applause for our chief guests, the CAs, our CJ, the data commissioners. A lot of applause for our guests as they join us, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome our principal guest, welcome our guests. Our request will remain standing. As we allow our guests to take their seats, we'll remain standing. I now invite all of us to be upstanding for the Republic of Kenya and the East African Community Anthem, the national anthem.
Afrika Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike, umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu.
As we remain standing, I'll invite my two brothers, Ali Kerr and Wycliffe Jakech, to lead us in a brief word of prayer.
Kindly let us pray. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. O Almighty, the Sustainer, the most loving and provider all things, we offer our thanks and gratitude for each one of us and the opportunity that we all have to come together to do good and fulfill our mandate. O Almighty, bless our country, bless our government, and every one of us, and help us to do the right thing. O Almighty Allah, give us in this world that which is good, and in the hereafter that which is good. Amen.
Let us continue praying. Our gracious and loving God, we humbly come before you as we present our thanksgiving and pray for your blessings. We thank you for your continued care and love and protection to our nation of Kenya. We pray for our President, His Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, that you may grant him good health, wisdom, and strength as he continues to discharge his mandate in our nation. We pray for our chief guests, Lady Justice Martha Koome, all the guests present. We present to you the affairs of our people, O God, even as a number of our people are affected by disasters of floods, loss of lives and property, we know that you shall comfort them and provide for all their needs. O God, have mercy on us so that the abundance of nature may bless and make our people prosper. We humbly pray that even as we gather for this event, you may cover us with your unfailing love and kindness. Protect all our friends who have joined us. Grant us peace. Sanctify our minds and souls so that we may please you and glorify your holy name. We pray, trusting and believing in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen.
With the permission of our principal guest, please resume your seats. Our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Honorable Eliud Owalo, the Chief Justice, Honorable Martha Koome, who is also the President of the Supreme Court.
We invite you to join us in the green city under the sun as we converge to discuss the critical role of data governance in the realization of Africa's digital transformation. Hosted by the Office
of the Chairperson of the Network of African Data Protection Authority, Mrs. Sanadi Chimaden Hadanan from Niger. The data commissioners from across Africa. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Mike Getone from the Office of the President. Today we are gathered here in Kenya, Nairobi County, as member states, as a unifying body for Africa's privacy and data protection authorities. Our mandate being to foster collaboration and ensuring African voice is heard on the global space. This being our 9th conference here at Windsor Hotel in Nairobi, points a significant gathering of over 700 participants in attendance. We don't take it for granted for you counting it worth to come and be part of this conference. This year's theme, and it is now my singular duty and honor to invite our MCs of the day, my good friend Johnson Mwakazi, to take us forth from that point. Thank you. May you have a good day.
Thank you so much. A big round of applause to our state MC, Bwana Mike Gitune. Thank you for your leadership. I'm together honored to be next to my dear sister, and we take this opportunity to say welcome to Kenya. We did something early in the morning. Turn to the person seated next to you and tell them, successful people look like you. Yes. Successful people look like you, June.
Thank you so much.
So, before we kick off, we want to make your experience enjoyable and at the same time impactful. How do we do that, June?
All right, once again, good morning to our chief guests who have arrived. Thank you for joining us. My name is June Gashui, as my dear Johnson has said. I like to tell people what I do so that you have context and then you can be pleasantly surprised. I am an advocate of the High Court. I practice intellectual property law. I'm also in the media space, and I'm a singer. So if the day gets a little bit tiresome, you can ask me to sing for you. Is that okay? All right, good. Thank you. Yes, that deserves a round of applause. I will also be here assisting Johnson Mwakazi to help make sure that all of you feel comfortable, as he has said. So just a few housekeeping rules. We would like you to log on to the Wi-Fi if you would like to be able to post whatever it is that you are posting on the social media. And I think in the interest of the theme that we are running over the next 2 days, we usually would ask you to take a selfie. But now your personal data and information is important, is it not? So I'm not sure this is the audience, but if you should feel free to do so, kindly use our hashtags, Nadpa Conference. Allow me also to just welcome our brothers and sisters who have joined us from different countries, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So allow me to do this. Bonjour, délégués, invités, commissaires, observateurs, mesdames et messieurs. Nous vous souhaitons la bienvenue dans la ville verte au soleil, Nairobi, ici au Kenya. Et couramment, nous sommes à Windsor Golf and Country Club pendant les 2 prochains jours, pour discuter de la manière dont le continent africain peut travailler ensemble pour promouvoir la gouvernance régionale des données pour la transformation numérique. Donc, on a quelques, je ne sais pas ce que c'est, housekeeping rules, mais our translators are here. Donc, nous disposons des services de traduction à votre disposition. Donc, veuillez prendre un casque de traduction à l'arrière. Les langues sont l'anglais, le français, le portugais et l'arabe.
Excellent. Thank you so much, June. Merci beaucoup. We want to make it clear that we'd really want you to connect in every possible way. In case you need any support, we have a team that is ready to support, whether it's in regards to the translation, whether it's in regards to any other question that you may have. Remember, we'll make our engagement very interactive. We have a platform, the menti.com platform. If we can just have that very quickly as we prepare to start with the remarks. And we asked you a simple question: which country do you represent? And those are some of the countries that came through. So if you are here and your country has not been noted yet, please do so. Just go to menti.com. That's menti.com. The code is on the screen. That's 64 63 54 22. So we have, of course, Kenya, Zambia. Big round of applause to Zambia. Zambia is well represented. We have Nigeria. Big round of applause. We have June.
We have Burkina Faso. Si vous entendez votre pays, on vous encourage à nous dire que vous êtes là. Applaudir. Donc,
we have
Burkina Faso, Cabo Verde, Benin.
We have Spain.
Côte d'Ivoire, yes, Spain. Merci beaucoup. Turkey. All right, Sao Tome et Principe.
United Kingdom.
The Gambia. Well, the European Union is here as a whole. Ghana.
Wow.
If you hear your country, ladies and gentlemen, please applaud so we know that you are here. Ghana. Dubai. Is Dubai a country? Dubai, who's here from Dubai? All right, welcome. We also want to welcome France. Is France in the room?
France.
Okay.
Excellent.
We also see quite a number. United Kingdom, of course. Okay, Angola.
Angola, Mali, Jordan.
Eswatini. Nice. Mauritania. There we go. Hi. Niger, of course, Madame Tanadiela. And of course, Morocco is also on our list. We want to welcome our observers who are here, as well as our invited guests from Zambia, Tanzania, and Somalia as well.
Excellent, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming. We now want to kick off.
We do indeed.
Ready to listen, to learn, to grow. Eyes on the screen. We live in a time where everything seems to be happening on the screen, and this seems to be the reality through and through. So we are constantly on our phones, sharing our data. There is a generation that wants connection, but this is what's happening. You want to strengthen your relationship, it's the phone. Everything, the games, psychology, you learn. One problem, trust. How do we trust what we see? Fake news is becoming a reality. And so we are saying, we must do something. Because if we don't, this is the reality. We are all moving towards that end. That's why we're saying we're here to promote regional data governance for digital transformation. And to give us the opening remarks, please welcome.
She is a seasoned advocate of the High Court of Kenya with 14 years of standing in this capacity. She has made significant contributions to the field of data protection in Kenya, playing a pivotal role in the development of regulations that operationalized the Data Protection Act of 2019 and establishing a fully functional office dedicated to safeguarding data privacy. She serves as the first vice chair on the board of the Network of African Data Protection Authorities, positioning Kenya prominently on the data protection map. Please welcome the Data Commissioner at the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in Kenya, Immaculate Kasait.
Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Bienvenue, madame.
Thank you, our facilitators. Our PS, John Tanui, our chair of Nadpa, Madam Sanadi, the German ambassador for Kenya, Sebastian Groth, the EU deputy ambassador, Simek, our Lady Chief Justice, Martha Koome, our CS, Elio Doalo, all the data protection commissioners from across Africa, all our exhibitors, all our main guests, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I know it's a dull morning in Nairobi, but at least we can say good morning once again. Good morning. Please tell your neighbor good morning, and I'm happy to be here today. I often laugh with the chair and the vice chair because when we have our board meetings, we have to translate between French and Portuguese. This morning I've had an experience of that, of lack of, not being a multilingual in terms of translation at the front. But well, who am I? I'm also going to learn French very soon. Allow me to proceed with the opening remarks. It gives me great pleasure to speak to you this morning and to welcome all the authorities that are present here. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate our Chief Justice and our Cabinet Secretary for finding time to grace this occasion. It's a testimony of the commitment of government to offer support to the Office of the Data Commissioner. Secondly, please allow me to welcome all data protection authorities to Kenya. It's a pleasure to host you, and I hope your experience so far has been good. The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, we are mandated to promote international cooperation in matters relating to data protection to ensure that international convention in data protection are adhered to, and therefore we are members of the Nadpa coalition. This is the second regional meeting. The first one was held in Ghana a few years ago, but it is the 9th data protection annual general meeting that will be held here in Nairobi. Please clap for ourselves for hosting the 9th NADPA meeting in Africa. During this year conference, through ODPC, we won the bid to host this conference, and of course, through our cabinet secretary, this was approved by cabinet. The theme of this conference is to promote regional data governance for digital transformation, which seeks to provide all participants of the conference with a platform to network, exchange knowledge, and gain new ideas and perspectives from peers on Africa digital transformation journey, data governance framework, especially emerging issues on regulation of personal data, cross-border data transfer, and technology advancement on AI, blockchain, and Internet of Things. The conference aims in facilitating sharing of knowledge and experiences amongst African data protection authorities in order to strengthen the implementation of the robust data protection framework. The conference will provide a platform for capacity building and showcase the best practices in data governance on emerging technologies and initiatives. There will be a total of 8 panels discussion focusing on cross-border data governance, building a safe and trusted digital space for children, leveraging on PET to enhance privacy and security, challenges faced by data protection authorities, the future of digital sovereignty, the data governance in Africa, data protection and security in Africa in public cloud, strengthening of data protection through partnership, digital public good for inclusion, webinars on training, a 2-day hackathon, a data privacy and exhibition, which will allow participants to connect with peers and also experiences in building professional relationship. I invite us all to visit all the exhibitions outside this hall. And lastly, I also take this opportunity to appreciate our partners and sponsors who have provided their resources to make this event a successful. With those few remarks, allow me to welcome our Permanent Secretary, Engineer Tanui, to come and take the program from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Immaculate. Our chief guest this morning, our CS, Honorable Eliud Owalo, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Lady Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and the President of Supreme Court, our key visitors, the heads of data protection authorities across the continent, Ambassador of Germany in Kenya, Sebastian Kroth, the EU Deputy Ambassador, Audrey Simek, the Chairperson of Nadpa, Chimaden Ataman Santi, and all our delegates. Good morning. We are really excited as a country as we host this very important conference here in Nairobi to receive all the members of Nadpa for their 2024 annual conference and also your AGM. We say Karibu, Karibu Nairobi, Karibu Kenya. Our CS, this for us is really special because as a country, we have embarked on a very ambitious agenda to position the digital economy in the center of our economy as a thematic area and also as an enabler of our other 4 focus areas. We have set very aggressive programs. One is to accelerate connectivity in the country by expanding our digital connectivity using fiber infrastructure, adding additional 100,000 kilometers of fiber, 100,000 kilometers to ensure all the public institutions in the country are connected. We have about 74,000 institutions and about 25,000 public Wi-Fi's that we need to connect. We are also setting up digital hubs across the country, and at the same time, we are accelerating our digitalization agenda to ensure our citizens can experience a digital government and a digital society. This brings in the main issue that we are here this morning. This is about data. Data is now viewed not only as the new oil, but a source of truth. We are all seeking truth, whether in public sector, private sector, wants to enhance your business, wants to make right decisions, and all this is in data. And we keep on collecting this data. And today we have authorities that help us to ensure that personal data is well protected, personal data is also put in proper use. As a continent, we have a huge opportunity. Digital economy is growing about 2.5 times faster than the physical economy. And the continent needs to make aggressive programs, to put in place aggressive programs to ensure the continent is not left in this emerging space, to ensure we grow the economy and ensure our people benefit from this infrastructure. So we're looking forward to that conversation by the various authorities on how, as a country, as a continent, can optimize this emerging space, accelerate our connectivity as a continent, open access and flow of data across the continent for us to have these conversations. CS and our Chief Justice, I don't want to speak beyond there. We are very excited as a country, as a ministry. We have our colleagues from the ministry and several other ministries represented here to receive our colleagues from the continent, and we are looking forward to connect more. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we had Connected Africa Summit, where we hosted 14 ministers and several principal secretaries and authorities involved in ICT infrastructure. This time, we are hosting about 20 countries from the continent and more from other continents to have this conversation. And as a country, we are very keen to ensure we unlock all the potentials in this space. We're looking forward to connect even with colleagues from the connectivity side, ICT connectivity, and the principal secretaries from the continent. And I want to acknowledge one of the principal secretaries from the continent. I'll just give him a chance to say hello. My colleague, P.S. Saidi from Gambia. P.S., please come and introduce yourself here.
Good morning. I am Yankuba Sedi, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Information of the Republic of the Gambia. I also came with me, Director of Cybersecurity, who is also working at the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, Director of Information Services, that is working under me, and she's also the head of the Gambia government's official newspaper. I also came with me, Senior Assistant Secretary at the Ministry of Information. So that's the size of the delegation. We were fortunate to be part of last year's event in Burkina Faso. And because as a country, we are also trying to enact our own data protection instrument. And it's been approved by the cabinet. But it still has to go through some enactment process. And we are creating the structures and the enabling environment for full-scale data governance in the Gambia. So we are happy and proud to be part of this delegation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my brother. And I can assure you, CS, we are in touch with the other PSS from the continent, and we are enhancing building a network amongst ourselves so that we can have conversations about world's global issues and continental issues, and we will play our role as principal secretaries in our various jurisdictions. So thank you, my colleague. Now I want to invite the chairperson of NEDPA, Chimaden Atantan Sanadi. Please welcome.
Excellences, Monsieur le ministre de la Communication, de l'Information et de l'Économie numérique, Madame la juge en chef de la République du Kenya, Monsieur le secrétaire d'État Monsieur le secrétaire d'État des technologies de l'information et de la communication et de l'économie numérique, Mesdames et Messieurs les commissaires, Madame la commissaire, autant pour moi des données personnelles du Kenya, Mesdames et Messieurs les présidents et chefs de délégation des autorités de protection des données personnelles de l'Afrique, distingués invités, Mesdames et Messieurs, en vos titres, grades et qualités. Bonjour. Excellence, Monsieur le ministre, votre présence parmi nous, que je demande d'ovationner fortement ici, témoigne de l'intérêt que vous et vos pairs attachent au respect des droits de l'homme en général et de la vie privée de nos concitoyens en particulier. Excellences, Monsieur le ministre, Mesdames et Messieurs distingués invités, les réseaux des autorités africaines de protection des données personnelles, les Nadpa-Rapdp, dont l'idée a été lancée à Dakar, a été créé à Ouagadougou, au Burkina Faso, en septembre 2016, lors du Forum africain sur la protection des données personnelles, dans le but d'établir une coopération entre ses membres et de faire entendre la voix de l'Afrique dans ses relations avec les partenaires du monde entier. Permettez-moi ici de féliciter à juste titre le Maroc qui assure le secrétariat permanent de notre organisation, dont l'autorité de protection des données personnelles, la CNDP du Maroc, œuvre inlassablement pour faire de cette organisation un organe fonctionnel malgré les diversités culturelles et linguistiques. Avec votre permission, Excellences, Monsieur le ministre, je m'en vais citer les États membres du réseau des autorités africaines de protection des données personnelles. Il s'agit de l'Afrique du Sud, de l'Angola, du Bénin, du Burkina Faso, du Cap-Vert, de la Côte d'Ivoire, Eswatini, du Gabon, du Ghana, le Kenya, le Mali, la Mauritanie, l'île Maurice, le Maroc, le Niger, le Nigeria, l'Ouganda, Sao Tomé et Principe, le Sénégal, le Tchad et la Tunisie. Le Cameroun, le Rwanda et la Gambie sont pays observateurs. La dernière Assemblée générale tenue à Ouagadougou, au Burkina Faso, en 2022, m'a porté à la tête de ces réseaux en tant que présidente de la Haute Autorité de protection des données à caractère personnel du Niger pour un mandat de 3 ans. Le Kenya, par l'intermédiaire du commissaire des données, occupe le poste de premier vice-président du réseau et la deuxième vice-présidence est assurée par l'Angola, respectant ainsi la diversité linguistique de nos différents États. Nous avons pris officiellement fonction en août 2023, soit seulement 10 mois de gouvernance, et je salue au passage le travail abattu depuis lors par ce bureau, avec l'assistance du secrétaire permanent et avec comme dossier phare la révision de notre règlement intérieur, l'adhésion de nouveaux membres, la redynamisation des groupes de travail et surtout la proposition d'un plan stratégique qui constituera désormais notre feuille de route pour faire de la protection des données personnelles et de la vie privée une réalité dans notre continent. Mesdames et Messieurs les responsables des autorités de protection des données personnelles, je suis ravie de me joindre à vous tous aujourd'hui à la 9e Assemblée générale annuelle et à la conférence du réseau des autorités de protection des données personnelles. Je voudrais préciser au passage que cette conférence est la deuxième du genre, après celle du Ghana, qui associe tous les partenaires internationaux et qui a vraiment une envergure internationale. J'aimerais à profiter de cette occasion pour féliciter et remercier très vivement notre collègue, Madame Immaculate Kassetti, commissaire aux données, et toute son équipe. Merci pour votre accueil chaleureux et aimable. C'est un véritable plaisir d'être ici, dans cette splendide ville de Nairobi. Merci pour cette gentillesse et votre accueil chaleureux. J'attends avec impatience les délibérations fructueuses au cours de la conférence de 2 jours et lors de l'Assemblée générale annuelle prévue à la fin de cette conférence. Je suis convaincu que cette conférence suscitera des conversations et des résolutions significatives qui propulseront le parcours de la transformation numérique de l'Afrique et plus particulièrement dans le domaine de la protection des données à caractère personnel pour une économie numérique dynamique, mais encadrée et respectueuse de nos valeurs. Avant de clore mon propos, permettez-moi de réitérer mes vifs remerciements aux plus hautes autorités du Kenya, à la tête desquelles son Excellence, Monsieur le Président de la République, le commandant en chef des forces de défense, Monsieur le ministre, invité d'honneur du présent événement pour avoir rehaussé de son aura la présente cérémonie et pour les commodités et les facilités mises à notre disposition pour la réussite de la conférence internationale couplée à l'Assemblée générale du Nadpa-Rapdp. Encore une fois, merci, Excellence. Ceci dit, je souhaite plein succès à nos travaux. Je vous remercie.
Our chairperson, thank you very much, and want to thank you for your leadership at the continent level, for leading NADPA, and also for honoring Kenya to host your 2024 conference. Thank you also Immaculate Kasait and your team for making it possible to host here in Kenya. We don't take it for granted the confidence the rest of the continent has given you and our country. On behalf of the private sector in the country and our supporters in this event, I'm inviting the Group CEO, Kenya Commercial Bank of Kenya, Paul Russo, to make remarks. Welcome, Russo.
The Chief Justice of Kenya, the Minister for Information ICT, the PS, I stand on all protocols. As we say in Kenya, all protocols observed and already set. I thank you for the opportunity to partner on behalf of all stakeholders, on behalf of all the private sector partners and as well as public sector partners. We really think this is not only a new area that we need to work together to bring to life, but I also think it's important for our own businesses to be sustainable. At the heart of every business, for particularly those of us in the private sector, is data, both integrity and confidentiality and protection of that data. Our presence here today, not just in sponsorship, but in person, is testament of that commitment. And most of us are regional entities. KCB operates in 7 countries. In this room, we have representation for our heads of data protection from 4 countries. Uganda is represented here. Tanzania is represented. I think Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya. Madam Commissioner, you will note that our head of data protection for the group is one of the best resources in this town. We truly appreciate her contribution to not only just for KCB, but best practice across the country and across the region. We reaffirm, on behalf of the private sector and partners, our commitment to advance this as both in Kenya and across the region. I thank you for the opportunity to represent the partners PS and count on our support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we thank all our partners for the support. This is a very important forum for all of us. As Ruth has mentioned, it's very key for sustainability of our businesses, and it's a platform for us to grow the digital economy. Thank you very much, Paul Russo. It's now my pleasure to invite the Chairman Ambassador, Sebastian Groth, to give his remarks. Welcome, Balosi.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, Cabinet Secretary ICT and Digital Economy, good friend Eliud Owalo, Chief Justice Martha Komer, Principal Secretary of ICT and Digital Economy John Tanui, the Kenyan Data Commissioner Mrs. Immaculate Kassaid, with whom we work very closely together, all commissioners from across Africa, aussi de l'Afrique francophone, soyez le bienvenue ici à Nairobi. C'est pas toujours comme ça à l'extérieur, normalement il y a du soleil et on peut vraiment bien se promener ici. Donc c'est une période avec beaucoup de pluie actuellement. That's why I also, first of all, would like to express my condolences also on behalf of my government to the loss of life and property here in Kenya due to the flooding of the last weeks. I think what we see is that climate change is a reality, and Germany and Kenya work very closely together to be together in this fight against the effects of climate change, and I only would like to underline once more that Germany is on the side of Kenya and all the countries in East Africa that are affected by the ongoing flooding. Ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great honor to be with you today at this opening, at this ceremony of the Network for African Data Protection Authorities conference. For me, it shows the real power of a Pan-African approach, and to see so many commissioners from north to south, west, east, Central Africa gathered here in Nairobi really is a strong signal. A few weeks ago, the IMF released the economic outlook for the world, and from the 20 first fastest growing economies, 9 are coming from Africa. And I think this again shows also the potential of the continent and the potential of the regional integration, and I just want to assure you that Germany and the European Union is very much your partner in this effort of regional cooperation and regional integration. And the digital economy and data protection is playing a very, very important role in this regard to unlock the potential of economic growth. That's why I would like to emphasize 2 points in my short remarks. First, what role does data protection play for our societies? And I think it's more or less unimportant if it's a German society, the Belgian, the Czech, the French, or Kenyan, Tanzanian, or South African. And the second point is, what are the economic benefits of shared privacy and data protection policies? So first, let me come to the role of data protection for our societies. Data breaches and privacy violation have become all too common in our increasingly digital world. We have a lot of issues right now, also in Germany, with these risks. And they don't just impact individuals, they erode the fundamental trust that enables the digital economy, but even democracies and political systems to flourish. So data protection is not just a technical issue, it is a fundamental issue to build trust and to sustain trust in a society, to enable the digital economy and to realize the socio-economic potential of the data revolution. This is still ongoing. As Germany, we firmly believe that strong data protection frameworks are essential for unlocking the economic potential of data-driven industries. That is why we are partnering with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner here in Kenya, but also in other African countries. I heard that there's a strong partnership also with Nigeria over the past years to build its capacity and regulatory capabilities. This partnership is implemented here in Kenya through the Digital Transformation Center, and if you're interested what this center is really doing on the ground, you can visit the stand over there. We have supported the capacity building for ODPC staff, enabling the ODPC team to develop world-class expertise in data protection, law and enforcement. Earlier this year, we facilitated Kenya's annual Data Privacy Day celebration to raise awareness among businesses and citizens about the importance of data rights. So fostering Kenya's position as a continental and even global driver of data protection is one of our aims and our missions here, and that's why we support ODPC's membership in the Global Privacy Assembly and help to integrate Kenya into the global network of data protection authorities. So I think what we have seen in the last years, and I really would like to thank the Kenyan government for this partnership, is that it really grew into a very close cooperation, both between Kenya and Germany and between Kenya and the European Union. And in this regard, I'm also very happy to welcome my colleague and friend, Andrei Šimek, who will also talk to you later from the European delegation. So coming to the economic points of data protection, we believe that the economic advantages that come from robust data flows and adequacy agreements between the EU and partner countries are enormous. There's enormous economic potential in it. And one big milestone was achieved in December 2023, especially between Kenya and the European Union when the Economic Partnership Agreement was signed. And by doing this, we opened the door for increased trade, but not only trade, but also we are building on a way forward to enable robust and safe data flow environments as an opportunity to multiply the potential for increased trade and investment, because there is no trade, basically no trade without data flows. So this all belongs together. And one key catalyst towards this vision is the ongoing EU-Kenya data flow dialogue. If successful, an adequacy agreement would deliver huge economic advantages for Kenya, and I know that we are working hard on this and that we are hoping to achieve concrete results until summer this year. This would grant Kenya access to lucrative European digital market, including IT and business process outsourcing sector, with an estimated outsourcing demand of several billion US dollars. This means that, for example, call centers would establish their branches here in Kenya and would serve the European market as a whole, which is the biggest integrated market of the world with around 450 million consumers, as you all know. According to a recent model forecast, the global business solutions sector alone has the potential to create here in Kenya, I'm only talking about Kenya, 30,000 new jobs until 2033. And these are high-skilled, good-paid jobs. And these job opportunities is, for us as Germany, quite important, not only to create these jobs in Kenya, but also because we are working on a skilled migration labor agreement between Germany and Kenya right now. In the ICT sector alone in Germany, we have 149,000 vacant jobs where we look for people actively. And I think to bring our data systems closer together would also facilitate, of course, the movement of skilled people to Germany if they are interested to go there. As I said, we are negotiate the bilateral labor agreement. Just next week, our federal commissioner, Mr. Stamm, will come to Kenya here, and it's the last round of negotiation, and we hope to finalize it by then. So I would like once again just express my highest appreciation to see so many African representatives here. What I said in the beginning about the economic potential of the integration of the continent, I think is just enormous. And the conference here is a big opportunity for you, for us, for all of us to learn together, to connect, to network, and to grow together in this integrated data sphere here in Africa also. We are very happy as Germany and GIZ to support this conference and to support the networking amongst you. And we think that there's really a lot of opportunities in unlocking the economic potential of the digital economy. So looking ahead, we remain open as the federal government, as the European Union, to partnering with other entities, public and private, who share our vision for a world where data rights are respected and the digital economy empowers all. This is quite important, I think. It's not an elite thing. It concerns really everybody. It's starting with the youth. When I saw the film with the young people looking at their phones, I thought about my two sons at home, because that's exactly what they're doing all day long. And I think we also have to sensitize this generation about data sharing. And you know about the discussions about some of the social platforms that are used by a lot of youth. So I think this is really a very important task. So thank you very much for having me here. As we say in Kenya, asanteni sana, and in Kiswahili, nakutakia kiungamano, kia amani na baraka, asanteni sana.
Palosi Asante. Thank you so much, Ambassador, and we appreciate the collaboration you are doing here in Kenya and across the continent to enhance connection between us and learn from also what you are doing in Germany. I want to invite also one of our key friends, the Deputy Ambassador of European Union, Andrej Simek. Welcome to make his remarks.
Thank you very much. I'll try to get through the protocol fairly quickly because I think we have put all the names. So Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy, Chief Justice, Principal Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy, Chairperson of Nadpa, Data Commissioner, representatives from data protection authorities across Africa, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend Sebastian, and thank you very much for setting up the stage. Good morning to all of you. It's a great pleasure to be here today on behalf of the European Union and to join you for the opening of this NATPA conference. I really want to thank the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner and the Government of Kenya for hosting this 7th edition of this very important event. I think my colleague already outlined all the excitement, I think, that we have on our side of the European Union, of Germany, of our member states. As we start the 2 days of deliberation, let me just take a moment to acknowledge the importance of data privacy. Data is clearly reshaping the fabric of our societies. Starts with the children, obviously, that are sitting on the phones, but also ends up with the adults that are doing more or less the same. It's clear that the data have become a critical resource, and they are offering a massive opportunity for us to revolutionize our healthcare, to address environmental challenges, to build smart cities. It's really endless potential. But of course, this potential also comes with its own set of risks. I think I don't really have to reiterate those, but you see it yourself that as our societies are going digital, a lot of massive amount of personal data and sensitive data are being generated, collected and processed every day. And with the introduction and increased use of artificial intelligence, this trend is increasing as well. Citizens around the world, both here in Africa and in Europe, are therefore not only benefiting, but they are also encountering the diverse challenges: data breaches, cyber attacks, cyber stalking, identity fraud. All of this is the result of unauthorized use of personal information. And what we see is the response, of course. New data protection laws are being put in place, and the role of independent supervisory authorities is growing. More and more countries, as we see it in Europe, are choosing a safe digital future. A future with stable and predictable legal framework that protects citizens' rights and offers business certainty as a basis for innovation. Security, innovation, hand in hand. We are the closest neighbor for Africa, and we are also very often the biggest trade and investment partner for Africa. And that's also one of the reasons why we are supporting the creation of the African single digital market, where data can flow across borders, trust in digital solutions is high, and local private sector is able to leverage data value chains on the basis of clear and harmonized laws and regulations. To realize this vision, collaboration between data protection authorities around the world is needed to advance the regional and global harmonization of legal and regulatory frameworks. One area of specific importance is that of safe cross-border data flows. A first step is ensuring the data protection laws are in place. The second one is obviously to operationalize them effectively. These are critical steps towards Africa's single digital market and towards a global area for safe data exchange. We look very much forward to continuing the engagement with NATPA and its members on these issues in global fora such as the General Privacy Assembly. We're also interested in strengthening the collaboration between NATPA and its European counterpart, the European Data Protection Board, which brings together the national privacy regulators of our 27 member states. For the EU, the most comprehensive legal mechanism for free and safe cross-border data flows is an adequacy decision, what I think the German ambassador already hinted at. The decision means that a country outside of the EU is considered as providing similar level of protection for personal data as the level of protection within the EU. As a result, personal data can flow freely between both jurisdictions without any additional regulatory restrictions or conditions. I'm extremely pleased here to reiterate what Sebastian already mentioned, that Kenya and the European Union have started the very first adequacy dialogue on the African continent. It builds on many commonalities that are shared by our respective data protection regimes. And if it becomes successful, then these talks, this dialogue could result in an adequacy finding for Kenya. During the next months, we will be working closely together with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner and the Ministry of Information, Communication, and the Digital Economy to explore this possibility of building a safe personal data bridge between our two economies. An adequacy decision comes with significant benefits. It would boost digital trade between Kenya and the European Union, give Kenya access to Europe's growing data economy, which at this point is worth about 800 billion euro. It would also increase accessibility of data in a wide range of areas, including research, and unlock investment opportunities in business process outsourcing and digital service exports. Under such arrangement, and we kind of joked about this before this conference started, Kenya would be in a way assimilated into the European Union as far as data protection is concerned. And by that I mean that the data flow between, let's say, Paris and Nairobi would be as free as it is between Paris and Berlin today. So it's a massive issue. In this way, an adequacy decision will also complement and amplify the benefits of the recently concluded EU-Kenya Economic Partnership Agreement. Indeed, that's about trade, but trade without data is not enough. Considering the immense progress that is being made by data protection authorities across the African continent, it is our hope that Kenya is an example, that there will be a continuous positive trend, and Kenya will become the first of many countries in Africa that can benefit from adequacy decision with the EU. On this positive note, I'd like to thank again the government of Kenya and the Network for Africa Data Protection Authorities for the excellent partnership and for inviting us today to be part of this conference. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Thank you very much. As we continue to discuss the adequacy between Kenya and the EU, we are also hoping as the aids of data protection and privacy in the continent, you also have this conversation. How do we unlock the connectivity and the trust within our countries, all the 55 countries in the continent, so that if we want to host data in Niger, Gambia, there should be no hesitation, because we need to be able to build that trust level so that we can optimize our investments in cloud infrastructure, in data centers, and also facilitate trade. Our CS, we have a representative from our legislative arm, representing the chairman of the ICT committee, Honorable Irene Mayaka. I will ask her to just introduce herself. Irene Mayaka, Mheshimiwa. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, PS. Congratulate my sister, the Data Commissioner, for this conference. I love the conversations that are already going on, the collaboration between Africa, the African countries present, and the collaboration that is about to happen between us and Germany and data protection extension. As we always say, the one thing that we try to do is to ensure that we do open up the space for ICT in our country, but at the same time safeguard it from any conditions that we do not want to affect us. So I just want to say on behalf of our committee, on behalf of our chair who is not present, that you will always have our legislative support when you need it. We will always be there. I know data protection is about to go on extensive reviews and amendments, and we will be there to really support you. So thank you very much, PS.
Thank you very much, and we appreciate the support we receive from our Committee of ICT at the National Assembly and at the Senate. This space of digital is really changing so fast, and it to all of us. And we really need to adjust and look, because the future of work is changing. How we trade, how we interact is changing. We are reshaping how to interact. And it's important for us to have this conversation. And we, in the country, we thank the leadership of our president, our CS, and also our judiciary. We've had very good engagement recently, as invited to the conference by the labor court, and it was good to have engagement about what should we be looking at in the future in terms of the nature of work. Ambassadors talk about presence of many PPOs developing and investing in the African continent. How do we operationalize them? How do we look at those kinds of jobs? And our legislative arm is also looking at it and putting pressure also on us to bring the necessary amendments to laws to look at that. And to guide us in this space, we really appreciate as a country your leadership, Lady Justice Kaome. And it's now my pleasure and honor to invite Lady Justice Martha Koome, Chief Justice and the President of Supreme Court of Kenya.
Thank you very much, our hosts, Engineer Tanui, Honorable Eriund Owaro, the Cabinet Secretary for ICT and Digital Economy. I also recognize the President of NADPO, our Data Commissioner, all the commissioners from Africa, the Excellency, the ambassadors and High Commissioners present, and all the distinguished guests. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Thank you so much for inviting me. I came here to confirm that the judiciary will support all the data protection initiatives because we in the judiciary have embraced technology. Colleagues from Africa, it is important for me to tell you, in the judiciary we have embraced e-filing. If you want to file a case, you can file it even on your mobile phone as you're sitting where you're sitting. You can also have a virtual hearing of a matter, and you can track the progress of your case from the filing to completion. But what worries us most is the data protection. And that is why I'm here today, most honored to join you for the Network Data Protection Authorities in Africa Conference, a gathering that underscores the collective commitment of the data protection authorities in the continent to safeguard the fundamental right to privacy in an increasingly digital world. As we witness the exponential growth of information and communication technologies, we cannot ignore the profound impact they have on our lives. These technologies have revolutionized how we conduct transactions. Technology has revolutionized how we communicate and interact with the world around us. However, with these advancements came new challenges, particularly in the realm of data privacy and protection. The proliferation of remote transactions has brought convenience and efficiency to our lives, but it has also heightened the risk of fraud and misuse of personal information. Every time we engage in online activities, they leave behind a digital footprint. They leave behind a trail of personal data that, if mishandled, can result in identity theft and erosion of trust in digital services. And that is so well demonstrated by the artists who have put up a wonderful show of the misery that is brought by data misuse. Balancing the imperative of providing secure services with the protection of individual privacy rights is also very complex and multifaceted. It requires careful consideration of the trade-offs between security measures and privacy to safeguard the decisions that ultimately have profound implications for our democratic values and human rights. Ladies and gentlemen, privacy is not merely a legal or regulatory obligation. Privacy is a fundamental human right which we have enshrined in our Constitution and also in international human rights instruments. It is the cornerstone of individual autonomy and dignity, and it is essential for fostering trust in this digital ecosystem. We are now in an era where we are pursuing data-informed and evidence-based decision-making. The collection and usage of data present incredible opportunities to improve governance and also to improve and also track service delivery and seek accountability to improve the overall quality of our lives and of our peoples. Governments and private organizations alike are increasingly harnessing data to drive strategic decisions. In Kenya, we are witnessing a transformation where public agencies, including the judiciary, are mining data to inform policy interventions. This transformation empowers us to make more informed and equitable decisions, advancing the public interests and fostering national development. However, we must not overlook the inherent imperatives of informational privacy as we harness the potential of data. We are custodians of citizens' personal data. It is therefore our duty to ensure that their rights to privacy are respected and upheld. The importance of data protection lies not just in compliance with laws, but in upholding the trust and confidence that citizens place in public institutions. Our responsibility as regulators and protectors of privacy is to ensure that data collection adheres to the stringent data privacy principles. Take, for instance, in the justice sector in Kenya, the justice sector encompasses the police. We also have the prosecution, judiciary, prisons, and correctional services. Through working together and sharing our data has given us the opportunity to streamline data sharing across the justice chain by fostering interagency collaboration. We are now able to eliminate the need for redundant data collection and minimize the risk of intrusive interventions. This approach will also enhance transparency, reduce administrative burdens, and foster more efficient delivery of justice. For those who practice law, they know the journeys of going to court to file cases, the journeys of going to retrieve files, those are no more. As Africa embarks on its digital transformation, the appetite for data on the continent is growing exponentially. With the proliferation of data and digital technologies, there is an increasing risk of exploitation by entities that seek to mine data for their own gain. The onus is on us to safeguard the interests of the people we serve and of our population, as data protection authorities gathered here today, you must invest in public education initiatives. We must raise awareness about data privacy. We must raise awareness about the rights and the dangers of data exploitation. We must empower individuals to understand and exercise their rights. You must be ever vigilant in safeguarding informational privacy. This requires developing robust data governance frameworks that ensure transparency, accountability, and security in the data usage. I'm very, very encouraged by us African countries coming together. African nations can actually create a data ecosystem that serves the public interest while protecting the fundamental rights to privacy. We, as the judiciaries also in Africa, we are having this conversation on how we can use technology as an enabler to access to justice. And we are thinking if the judiciaries in Africa can embrace technology and we are able to deal with the backlog of cases, we are going to frog march to the first round. And indeed, the first round, the European Union will now be asking us to join the group. We can become leaders in data protection. We can set standards that the world over can use. In Kenya, our courts are developing jurisprudence which is interpreting the legal commitments to protection of data that is founded on the rights-enhancing paradigm that prioritizes the privacy rights of individuals by upholding the rights of individuals to control their personal data and ensure its responsible use by organizations across the various sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also important for us to appreciate that in digital age, it has increasingly become evident that children and young adults are not just passive consumers of technology, but active participants in the digital world. From online learning to social media interactions, their engagement with digital platforms is pervasive and profound. And I'm happy to note in this very rich conference, you have a program that is going to address the safety of our children and young adults. Emerging issues such as internet hygiene, cyberbullying, and online predators underscore the need for comprehensive mechanisms to safeguard children's digital experiences. It is imperative that digital policies and programs take into account the unique vulnerability of our children and prioritize their safety in the design of software applications and online platforms by building a safe and trusted digital space for them. We also need to empower them to harness the potential benefits of technology, but we must mitigate the inherent risk, ensuring that they can explore, learn, and grow in a secure online environment. Therefore, I urge you as Africa's data protection authorities to prioritize the protection of our children, recognizing that their safety and well-being is paramount. In conclusion, let me note that these challenges extend beyond national borders. The issues we face are global in nature, requiring collaboration and cooperation among data protection authorities across Africa and beyond. Therefore, I commend the convening of this conference that brings together data protection authorities, as it will serve as a vital platform for fostering exchanges, sharing best practices, and establishing and advocating for common standards in data protection. I urge you to robustly enforce the laws that protect personal data and information privacy. It is only through this effective enforcement that we will deter violations and uphold human rights. And with those many remarks, it is indeed my honor to wish you a very, very pleasant stay here in Nairobi and a wonderful conference. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much. You've challenged us, those of us from the continent responsible for data protection and privacy. We have a huge responsibility to ensure our citizens, the citizens of the African continent, are secured, and also to ensure they benefit from this emerging economy. Thank you also, Chief Justice, because judiciary has set a very good example here in the country by leading in digitization and adoption of new technologies to enhance access to justice. Asante sana. And our colleagues from the continent, when you have chance, I think during your conversations, you'll have chance to visit some of the institutions in this country, and you can build connection and leverage some of the experiences we've already had. Now it's my honor to invite our chief guest, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Honorable Eliud Owalo, to give his remarks as our chief guest. Welcome.
The Honorable Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya and President of the Supreme Court, our distinguished diplomats led by the Deputy Ambassador of the EU, as well as our ambassador representing the Federal Republic of Germany, all our integral stakeholders, starting with members of the legislature, our donors and partners, the chair of the Network for African Data Protection Authorities, and all the data protection commissioners, our own data protection commissioner, Madam Immaculate Kasait. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to ride on the protocols that have so far been established. And as I start, just to put us on the correct pedestal, let me, with all the requisite humility, convey greetings to all of you from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, who ought to have been our chief guest this morning, but due to other emerging issues, he was unable to be with us this morning, and this was conveyed to us at the last minute. But he did request me, or instruct me for that matter, to pass his greetings and also convey his best wishes to all the delegates who are attending this very, very important conference to discuss digital transformation in Africa on one hand and data governance on the other. Allow me to espouse the importance of this conference. This conference, ladies and gentlemen, is extremely important because it gives us a platform as thought leaders in the digital space to look back in retrospect as an African continent to recognize the milestones that we have realized so far in the space of data governance. And also perhaps have a candid discussion on what we need to do to sustain that moving forward. But in equal measure also, it gives us the opportunity to take stock of the challenges that we have faced with regard to data governance, more so in the face of rapid digital transformation within the African continent, and have a discussion and agree on an action plan on what we need to do moving forward to overcome those challenges so that our digital transformation agenda can be undertaken within the framework and ambit of a strong policy, legal, and regulatory framework from a data governance perspective. In equal measure, good people, this platform will enable us to analyze areas where we have got gaps and what we need to do to close those gaps from a continental perspective to strengthen the data governance framework. And at the same time, we will also have the opportunity to recognize the lessons that we have learned in the recent past and how those lessons can inform what we are going to do moving forward in the same regard. Again, informed by that contextual analysis, we should then be able to come up with a very, very clear roadmap that clearly articulates our critical success factors with respect to data governance as a continent, the structures that we need to have, how we strengthen our data governance authorities, and also a clear action plan with very, very clear responsibility centers, timeframes, expected outputs, and output indicators for that matter. And if we rode on that pedestal, I've got the confidence that as an African continent, we would be able to strengthen our data governance framework to ensure both data privacy and data security in the face of rapid digitalization, which is now a global issue, and Africa cannot be an exception. Good people, one question that keeps on cropping up in the face of global digitalization is, are we not overexposing ourselves to cyber insecurity by digitizing records and also in equal measure digitalizing services? And the answer is simple, that we are not going to stop digitizing records and digitalizing services because of cyber insecurity. But we need to come up with a very, very robust risk mitigation framework within the digital space to ensure that as we embark on digitalization, we are not exposing ourselves to loopholes or pilferages in data. We need to strengthen our data privacy and also data security. As you are aware, most African countries are today in earnest or with zeal enhancing the level of fiber connectivity or interconnect connectivity for that matter. In equal measure, we are enhancing the level of digital skilling for our youth and even the wider population. We are also now, in the face of digitalization, pursuing digital identities. All these issues bring to the fore the urgent need for having a robust discussion on what we need to do as an African continent in the face of global digitalization to strengthen data privacy and data security. So this conference could not have come at a better time, because as we do all this, there are fundamental questions that we need to tackle there are candid discussions that we need to have. What do we need to do as an African continent to ensure that we move together in tandem from the perspective of data governance and data security, so that no country is left behind? And that perhaps informs an integral component of the discussion that we are going to have during this conference. How do we move in tandem so that we come up with policies, laws, and regulations, a strong foundation on the basis of which data privacy and data security can be anchored, but with policies, laws, and regulations that are in tandem with each other or speak to each other as opposed to being discordant to each other. So that is a discussion that we need to have. The other issue that we need to discuss is how do we ensure that we optimize the data infrastructure that we have at our disposal so that we don't have duplicity of effort on one hand or wastage of resources on the other. For example, if I may just give a hypothetical example for purposes of illustration. If one country has already set up a data center as part and parcel of our cloud infrastructure, how do we ensure that that data center is going to attain optimal capacity utilization levels while leveraging on the demand of Africa as a market for data storage? Or should we go the route of one country setting up a data center today, another one setting up a data center tomorrow, another one setting up a data center the following day? So it brings to the fore a discussion on optimal utilization of data storage infrastructure that we have at our disposal, so that there is no duplicity of effort, so that we can have adequate uptake of the data infrastructure that we have. But again, we are operating in an environment where factors in play keep on changing. We have got a lot of emerging issues in our operational environment today. We are dealing with issues of AI, dealing with issues of artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, just to mention but a few of the emerging issues in that digital space. How do we tackle these issues while moving together as an African continent? That again calls for proactivity. And if it calls for proactivity, it means that we have to be proactive so that we are ahead of change, good people. We have to be proactive. And that is why on a continuous basis, because of dynamism in our operational environment, what will enable African countries to remain relevant in the digital marketplace will be our level of creativity and innovation, strategic agility and maneuverability in the digital space. And that means we need to continuously, based on what is happening in our operational environment, look at our laws, policies, and regulations. Think of what we need to do. Strengthen the existing laws, policies, and regulations on one hand, and also in instances where they are absent, we think of how to come up with new laws, policies, and regulations. And I want to thank our respective legislatures, starting with our own parliament here in Kenya, for being able, always able and willing to augment our efforts based on what is happening in our operational environment so that we strengthen our legal, policy, and regulatory framework, more so with respect to data governance. Good people, the issues I've put on the table are the facts of the case, that we must continue with digitalization. If there is any message I want you to take home as an African continent from this conference today, is that we need to go home and digitalize everything. But in equal measure, we must ensure that we strengthen our risk mitigation framework so that we have a robust policy, legal, and regulatory framework on the basis of which data storage can be anchored to facilitate data privacy on one hand and data security on the other. With those many remarks, it is now my distinguished honor and privilege on behalf of His Excellency the President to declare this conference officially opened. Thank you very much.
Excellent. A big round of applause for the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Wala. Thank you so much indeed. And before we close this first installment of our engagement, we want to celebrate some of the activities that have been running concurrently with this one. But a remarkable statement there: we need to be proactive so that we are ahead of change. Very important. Africa cannot afford to sleep through this fourth industrial revolution. Very important indeed. So, got a lot indeed after this.
We do indeed. Just a few announcements. Allow us to dispense with some of the housekeeping so that we can move to a very exciting session that's happening right after this, so that we can formally close the opening ceremony. So just a reminder, some of you have not finished your registration procedure or process. This badge is imperative for you to be able to freely move around over the next 2 days, including receiving your meals. So this is what is standing between you and your lunch. So kindly make sure you take a moment to complete the registration process. We'll have a few minutes before we jump into the second part of our session. So please make sure that you finish that. For my French brothers and sisters, les inscriptions sont toujours en cours. Donc vous aurez besoin de vos badges pour toutes les activités, y compris vos repas. Donc veuillez vous assurer de terminer l'inscription dans les salles qui sont à notre droite, c'est ça? A few of you asked where the facilities are. We do have facilities available. We have an ambulance on standby, and so if you do need to relieve yourselves, I believe they are to our left and to your right. Si vous avez besoin des toilettes, ils sont disponibles à ma gauche et votre droite. All right?
Right.
Good.
And something very important to note in regards to the translation kits. They're only supposed to be used here. That's where they really work well. So in case you have to leave this place, please also leave them behind. It's very important. We'll be taking a health break about 15 minutes. So when that happens, I'd kindly request that we leave all the kits here. But in the meantime, we want to celebrate some of the key parties who are here. I understand we have the CEO Airtel. A big round of applause for them. Thank you so much. We have CEO ICT Authority, Law Society of Kenya President is here, Faith Odhiambo, CEO Media Council of Kenya, and of course Communication Authority CEO. Welcome.
And thank you for being here with us. So later today we have a masterclass on the thing our chief guest was speaking about, artificial intelligence. What is this thing called AI? Now, of course, we assume you all have a basic knowledge of this, but we have a team running a masterclass, which is very, very exciting. In fact, that's where Johnson and I will be running to shortly. So if you would like to join us, this will be taking place in the Oak Room at the main hotel. We only have about 100 spaces, so first come, first served. So please make sure you run along with us and make sure you secure your seat.
Secure your seat, indeed. So, we've got some winners and awards as well.
We do indeed. We have some young students, some practitioners who since Saturday have been in a hackathon.
What is a hackathon?
What is a hackathon? Well, they're about to come and tell us. And we want to say that there have been 3 hackathon teams of 5 members each.
Wow.
And these have been running at it since Saturday. And today we want to know who the winners are.
And I understand we want just to know who they are, but they will also be going home with something memorable.
Money is always memorable. And title is even more memorable. The best of the best of the best. They will be taking home 200,000 shillings.
Wow.
A round of applause.
Okay.
So we got a bit worried when we were told there were hackers in our midst, but they are ethical hackers, and so we're happy about that. And it is an important part of our ecosystem to be able to be proactive and to be able to manage the things that may come and be a risk or a danger to the progress. So we want to appreciate these teams. If we could have our winning team come up, I'll ask our secretariat officials to assist us with that. This is our moment to appreciate and recognize these young ones.
All right, please come forward. Well done.
Let's give them a round of applause as they come. This was a hackathon on data protection. Le hackathon était en cours depuis samedi. Et 3 équipes de 5 membres ont participé à la compétition. Aujourd'hui, nous voulons savoir qui sont les gagnants et récompenser les gagnants aussi. Allow me to ask our chief guest to come up, please.
Please.
Bwana CS, would you kindly
Cabinet Secretary.
join us here? We'll also ask Chief Justice
Please
Martha
come
Koome,
forward.
please come and award these young ones who have hacked away. since
Ethical
Saturday.
hacking, huh? And where is the check? Okay, it's going to be delivered.
All right, we also would like to have KCB Bank representation up here with us, kindly. Let me ask
And
Russo and GIZ as well. Kindly join us up on stage. All been instrumental this process, and we would like you here as we award our winners.
And we're very keen to see the check, please.
Our PS, Tanui, please join us as well. Okay.
Okay.
So this wonderful check, Madam Kasait, is being awarded to these winners today. I want to see more smiles. You guys have been hacking away since Saturday. Are you excited? All right, congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our winners today.
And the check is going to be unveiled. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause.
Yes, indeed.
100,000.
Team Tokyo are winners. Our team leader, where is our team leader of Team Tokyo? Please come and join me. How are you? Say hello to these people. Where are you from?
Hello, I'm Prisha Patel, and we are all from different universities. You? Check.
Check.
Please use this. Check.
Check.
Use this one for you. So I'm from USIU, and my other members are from different universities. And we've been participating and working on this project since we started on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday. We've been working on building the project, and we had the final presentations yesterday, and we are really happy and excited to win this. And we would like to use this money for a startup, and we'd also collaborate in future projects.
Wow. Excellent, excellent.
Thank you so much. I believe our media team have great photos with everybody smiling. Wonderful. Congratulations, our team leader, Priya, and the entire team who've been hacking away. Thank you to all our partners and our chief guests. Thank you so much. You may take your seats. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, once again to our winners. We look forward to the startup. We're going now into a quick photo session. So we would like to invite the following, please, our chief guest as well. My apologies for asking you to sit down. Kindly come back up. As they come up, please allow me to also invite all the data protection commissioners here present, and les présidents des autorités de protection des données. Si vous êtes là, parmi nous, s'il vous plaît, veuillez nous joindre sur l'étage pour une photo. On a une séance photo. We will have a photo with all our commissioners et tous nos présidents des autorités de protection des données. Si vous êtes là, parmi nous, s'il vous plaît, veuillez nous joindre sur l'étage pour une séance photo. Once we are done with this photo, as we arrange ourselves, please let's have all our CEOs of all our ministry or parastatal bodies who are present, both in the private sector, any of the companies who are here as our partners, please be on standby. We will invite you next. Les chefs d'entreprise qui sont parmi nous, and also the CEOs, my apologies, for the public sector organizations. We'll take a few moments. I'll ask our media team to guide us so we have the best possible shots. Cette photo est pour tous les présidents des autorités de protection de données, all our data protection commissioners qui sont parmi nous. Veuillez sourire, s'il vous plaît. Please smile if you can manage a smile. And we are very excited for this annual general meeting and conference. Thank you for being here. Merci beaucoup d'être parmi nous aujourd'hui. Thank you so much. As they take their seats, all CEOs present, both in private and public sector, tous les chefs d'entreprise qui sont là, please join us for a photo with our chief guest. Madame Sanadi, s'il vous plaît. Merci beaucoup. On a encore 2 photos à prendre et puis vous pouvez vous asseoir. If you are here representing a private sector partner, organization, or one in the public sector, veuillez nous joindre aussi pour cette séance photo. Same thing, we require teeth. We are here marking this great occasion, and we want to recognize that you are here with us from both the private and public sector, all our CEOs.
We also have the Gambian PS. If you're here, please make your way to the front.
Our permanent secretary from the Gambia who addressed us earlier. Sir, please join us on stage as well for this photo. Next, we will be inviting all the ODPC senior management. Please be on standby. ODPC senior management, your photo is the last one that we will be taking here today. Kindly be on standby so we can gain some time. After this opening ceremony, we are excited that we have launched and kicked off what is going to be an exciting 2 days, Johnson.
Absolutely.
En fait, nous espérons que cette Assemblée générale et cette conférence offriront une occasion unique de réseauter, de consulter, de réfléchir et de collaborer ensemble. Et aussi de partager les meilleures pratiques en matière de protection de données personnelles. Thank you so much as we release our chief guest and our chief justice. Mesdames et messieurs, one more time a round of applause as they step out. We thank you so much.
So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have a 15-minute break. Immediately that will come back and we will engage in a panel discussion on navigating the global data privacy landscape and promoting data flows. So right now it's 3 minutes past 12, so our 15 minutes begin now, ladies and gentlemen. Please pace yourselves so that when you come, we kick off and we close in good time for lunch. Thank you so much. Remember the translation kits? And we have the exhibition spot, so please visit, learn, and connect. 15 minutes. So what stood out for you? As we prepare to start the panel discussion, and I'd kindly request the panelists to be on standby. I'll be moving around so that you give us your feedback. What stood out for you? It's 27 minutes past the hour. What stood out for you? What stood out for you? And if it's possible to get a camera to zoom in on the person speaking, we'll appreciate so that we see them clearly. This is a good place to start, sir. What stood out for you, sir? Your name, your country, and tell us that one thing that stood out for you. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Kulibali Namoro. I come from Cote d'Ivoire. I'm for ITC, Authority of Protection. Thank you. I'm happy to be here to this conference. I'm very happy.
Is there something you heard this morning that stood out for you?
I don't know. No, that is good.
Maybe just one more question. What is your big expectation? We've started today, tomorrow. What would you want to take to Côte d'Ivoire?
Je pense que je suis bien à cette conférence et je souhaite vraiment apprendre beaucoup de choses afin de retourner dans mon pays, en Côte d'Ivoire. Je suis très heureux au niveau de l'autorité de protection. En ce qui me concerne, je suis un technicien au niveau de la protection des données à caractère personnel. Et je suis très intéressé par l'ensemble des sujets qui seront débattus ici, à savoir l'intelligence artificielle et autres, tout et tout. Vraiment, la gouvernance des données et également aussi au niveau des plateformes numériques. Tout ça, c'est un ensemble qui est assez intéressant et pour lequel nous tous, nous sommes là en quelque sorte. Merci infiniment pour tout, pour votre accueil surtout. Et nous espérons, parce que nous accueillons la 8e Assemblée générale en Côte d'Ivoire en 2025. Donc nous pensons nous inspirer de votre sens organisationnel. Et puis voilà. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup. A big round of applause, please. Beaucoup de choses. Thank you so much. Translation kits, I hope you have them. Remember, please, anytime you have to leave this particular hall, please have it left behind. But in the meantime, we're just exploring. We're exploring what is it that stood out for you during the morning session as we wait for our panelists to come in. You can actually use menti.com. Type it in, and please remember, even during the panel discussion, if you have any questions, we'll have that particular platform open for you, menti.com. You can just type in what stood out for you and some of the questions that you may have. Let me come to you, sir. Your name, the country you represent, and what stood out for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Joseph Tonui from Kenya. And I work with the Kenya Revenue Authority in the Corporate Data Office. Yeah, today we are here to learn, to share experiences, to see the best practices, how we can be able to harness the power of data, and at the same time to ensure that even as we go digital, the data is safeguarded in the right way in terms of protocols with the Data Protection Act and other policies and procedures, so that there is integrity, in the use of data. Even by the data subjects, they can believe that we can safeguard their data. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Big round of applause to Bwana Tanui. Mr. Tanui, harnessing the power of data, but also safeguarding the same. Very important. What stood out for you? So, deliberate expressions, the need to have harmonized intergovernmental policies on data protection, proud commitment and determination to unlock Africa's digital potential while protecting individuals and their data. What stood out for you? What stood out for you? What stood out for let me come here. What stood out for you? It's okay, we appreciate you.
I just arrived.
But what's your name? Which country do you represent, and what's your big expectation in regards to the conference?
Morning, everybody. Ariana Sayers from Bowman's. I'm a partner in our data protection and tech team. I think the big expectation is, I think it's a great forum to have a lot of the African data protection authorities together, and I think it'd be interesting just to see the decisions that we can make continentally and to work together collaboratively.
Wow, thank you so much, Ariana. I mean, it's a network of data protection authorities. What can that collaboration create moving forward in building the Africa we want? Digitization must be accompanied with solid risk mitigation framework. The need to fully digitize the continent and ensure data privacy and safety of the same. Also strive to attain continental adequacy in data protection. PS Gambia, are you here? PS Gambia, if you're here, kindly join Esther. PS Gambia? Okay. Gambia, PS. Okay. Thank you. Chief Justice's address, taking note that even in the face of embracing technology through digitalization of case data, it is paramount to protect the data. Patrick Kigan, Judiciary of Kenya. Yes, sir. Your name, please, the country you represent, and what stood out for you?
My name is Masharia, representing Kenya. I think I took a lot of things that were said by our CS, digitizing everything. And more or less for me, it's really looking at the cross-border data transfers and the cooperation between the EU, Kenya. So I think I just took a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you, Bwana Masharia. At EU-Kenya, data engagement, very critical indeed. Sir, what stood out for you? Your name, the country you represent. Go ahead. What stood out for you?
My name is Brian Yusuf. I'm from Kenya. I'm a legal practitioner. I think besides what stood out for me, more of my expectation is to learn and figure out cross-border data flows because most of our businesses operate in different countries within the continent, and there's a need to figure out how to protect exchange of data across same group of companies but within different jurisdictions. Mm-hmm. So that is what I'm looking forward to learning more about.
Wow, Brian, protecting data flows. Thank you so much indeed. Let me come inside here. What stood out for you? Go ahead. Okay.
My name is Christine Keriga from Kenya. I think what stood out for me was the need to have frameworks in place to ensure that data is protected
in as much as it's an asset, it also needs to be protected. Yeah, with the same breath.
Thank you. Data is an asset. It needs to be protected. Thank you so much. So if you're just coming in, please note you can post in your comments via Menti there. We're asking you what stood out for you. In the morning we've heard from different speakers, stakeholders. How do we balance between data sharing, access for innovation versus data protection regulation? Another one. La pertinence du thème et la prise en compte des enfants. The importance of including children in the promotion of data protection, as they are big users of technology and social media in the current world. The potential for collaboration among the various data protection commissions in the continent. The need to fully digitize and at the same time ensure data privacy. Allow me to come here as well. What stood out for you?
Morning, everyone. My name is Louisa from Kenya. I think what stood out for me is the speak from the different data protection authorities and also the people represented in the need, and especially the advocacy decision. I'm super excited for when that happens. That stood out for me.
Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much. Anybody who would want to just contribute a thought that caught your attention before I give the microphone to the next person here? Your name?
Susan Noel Sunguti from Kenya. What I've picked from the talk is the judiciary appreciation of the interplay that exists between the present digital world, together the inclusion of e-filing. Yeah.
Thank you, Susan.
And I'd want to know about AFTA's inclusion of the digital economy. Yeah, in relation to NADPA.
Okay, and by the way, during the panel discussions, we'll also have an opportunity for you to post your direct questions as well. All right? Thank you so much, Susan. Many thanks, many thanks. So just waiting for the lists to come in, then we kick off our engagement. But before that, what stood out for you? I'm here with you, it's all right. Want to learn as much as possible. Go ahead, your name, what stood out for you?
My name is Daniela Cherono, I'm from Kenya, and what stood, I just arrived.
So Cherono, it's okay. What's your big expectation from the conference?
My big expectation is to know how I can be a part of the system to take data protection forward for this country in particular.
Wow, be part of the system to take data protection forward in this country. Thank you so much. What about you? Oh, what's your name? Tell us your name and what stood out for you during the morning session. There you go. You can hold it. It's okay. You can hold it. I can hold it. What is your name?
My name is Stella Chebet.
A big round of applause to Stella. What stood out for you? It's okay. I'm here with you, Stella. What is your big expectation from this conference? It's okay, I'm here. You are very important, and that's why I'm here with you.
Stella? What do you know about personal data? It's okay, I'm here with you, Stella. And I'll even sit here because it's very important. I believe in the next 10 years you will move Africa. What is your advice to people out there? What is your message to Africa? If you were to celebrate Africa, what is one thing that you can say is great about Africa, Stella?
Everything is great.
Hmm?
Everything is great.
Everything, including Stella, right?
Yeah.
And that is part of data, Africa's data. Big round of applause to Stella. Stella, you're part of Africa and Africa needs you. So don't be afraid to share that which you have. Don't be afraid of the people around you. There is a reason why you were born here in Africa and you're part of this conference. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm Likando, Data Protection Commission of Zambia.
Zambia.
I would like to have appreciated the support that seems to be coming from the Kenyan government towards this journey. And that is very good. We hope that can be the process for all the other African countries. But I think what came out also nicely was the engagement that is starting between EU and Kenya. We hope that that now will translate into all the other African countries.
Wow.
For betterment of data governance.
Wow, thank you so much. That's a very pertinent point there. We've seen that engagement between the European Union and Kenya, and the call is to have that same engagement translated to all the African countries. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Saratu Samande. I'm from Nigeria Data Protection Commission. What stood out to me in the first session is that to remain, we need to learn how to tackle issues together. We need to be proactive to stay ahead of change and to remain relevant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tackle issues together and be ahead of change. Thank you, Saratu. All the way from Nigeria. Would you like to share also what stood out for you? Go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Sani Fatima. I'm from Nigeria. So what stood out for me personally is collaboration and cooperation, especially between the European Union and the Data Protection Commission in Kenya. And like the other speaker said, I wish and hope that this collaboration and cooperation will extend to other African countries.
Wow, thank you, Fatima from Nigeria. We extend that cooperation to the rest of Africa as well. Sure. Talk to us, talk to us.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Irongo. I work with Amnesty International Kenya. Johnson, I think one of the things that has struck me this morning is how 2 years ago there were very few data protection authorities across the continent. We were always looking to Mauritius and to South Africa and others. And we saw a large number of data protection authorities that come. So I think we need to congratulate the continent for this leadership, and particularly the women who are leading those data protection authorities.
Wow, wow.
And then one last point, I think we have to, because I know we have different regimes in different countries, but it is really important that we retain the independence of the data protection authorities. They must not become collapsed into departments of the ministries of ICT. It is really important, like we have an auditor general who takes care of public finance. Data is the new oil, data is the new currency, therefore it needs its own independent office. So I really encourage offices across the continent to guard their independence. Thank you.
Guarding the independence of data protection authorities, thank you so much, and we want to appreciate the leadership that we can see women taking over. And let me come here, very particular. I know you're on your phone, but what stood out for you? Which country?
Oui. Bonjour à tous. Je suis Marie-Grâce Konanda de l'Autorité de protection de Côte d'Ivoire. Et je suis très heureuse d'être parmi vous pour ensemble voir les axes de coopération et comment s'engager de manière assez pratique dans les défis de la matière de la protection des données à caractère personnel. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. Big round of applause. Thank you so much. Merci, merci. So I'm here. What about you, sir? What stood out for you?
Good afternoon, everyone. What stood out, first of all, my name is Amos Kosgei from ODPC, Kenya. So what stood out for me is the presentation by the CJ that indeed the aspect of the data protection is a fundamental human right, and what judiciary is doing towards ensuring and positioning the matters of data protection in the region as well as the globe. Then the remarks by the CS on matters of data governance and the aspect to do with the needs to harmonize everything in terms of the infrastructure so that we leverage what already exists and then avoid the aspect of the duplication.
All right. Thank you so much indeed, Amos. So, ladies and gentlemen, we should be kicking off our first panel discussion. And thank you for sharing. Digital freedom stops where that of users begins. Nowadays, digital evolution must no longer be offered to a customer in trade-off between privacy and security. Privacy is not for sale, it's a value. Wow. June, a lot indeed happening in terms of what people picked in the morning.
I love it. It's actually evidence that there's been quite a lot of engagement. 25 responses. Thank you so much. And as Jack Johnson has said, please continue engaging with us on this platform so that we can know that we are together, confirm that we are together.
Indeed.
So our format for the next few conversations will be a keynote address or a speaker, and then followed by a panel discussion. And that is how our next few hours will go. We won't be here for many hours because we will go for lunch shortly. But we do have our first panel that we will be listening to. And the topic, as we have already been told, is cross-border data governance. What are the challenges and what are the opportunities? La gouvernance des données transfrontalières, des défis et les opportunités. So we will be having that conversation happening shortly. So we'll just allow all our commissioners and presidents to sit down, and as we do that, we want to continue thanking our sponsors, without whom this would not be possible. Putting on an event like this, an annual general meeting and conference like this, is not easy.
Not easy indeed, and we've spoken about the power of cooperation and collaboration.
Indeed, indeed. And these are truly, truly those who have come together with the Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy. We want to recognize the German Corporation. We want to thank the EU. We want to thank GIZ, Digital Transformation Center Kenya, who we've also been informed has a stand out there. Safaricom, we thank you. Google, KCB Bank, Future of Privacy Forum. We thank Amazon Web Services, AWS, Tech Hive Advisory. We thank Microsoft, NCBA, Amnesty International Kenya. Irungu is here. Thank you for your intervention earlier.
Oh, and Bwana Irungu spoke about the power of women.
Yes, indeed.
And we've seen that, looking at the Data Protection Commissioner.
Yes, indeed.
Plus the CJ, of course.
Plus the president of RAPDP.
Absolutely. So, once again, a big round of applause to all the women who are at the forefront, leading the way.
We want to thank Airtel. Thank you so much. The CEO is here in our midst. GSMA, thank you so much. EY, Media Council of Kenya, I believe your leadership is in the room with us. We thank Konza Metropolis. We also thank Huduma Kenya, Communications Authority of Kenya, who is also represented. KICTA, that's ICTA, Net Covington, Melvin's Tea, and EABL.
We celebrate all our sponsors. It's 7 minutes to 1 p.m. Of course, we heard from Honorable Eliud Owalo, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy.
We did.
And we now want to delve into the panel discussion. But before that, I understand there are those who went ahead of time will be having the AI Masterclass.
We will indeed.
Not now, but
after lunch.
After lunch, very important. So after lunch.
Did people go to the open?
Oh yes, unfortunately, yeah.
Our apologies. The masterclass on artificial intelligence will be taking place after lunch at the Oak Room. That was just to let you know that the engagement will be happening and that we'd like you to make sure you're ready for it and take up all the spaces that are provided.
Right.
Okay,
so I believe we should just kick off with the panel discussion. We are ready. And when our speaker comes in, then we can give him the time to speak. Right now, we want to look at cross-border data governance, the challenges and opportunities. And we want to alert you that in case you have questions and comments, please remember menti.com will be open so that you post them. Preferably, if you have a question directed to a particular panelist, would kindly request that you start with their name, then the question. And if possible, you can also add your name so that in case we need to make a follow-up, we can do so.
Indeed. All right, so without much further ado, on the topic that has been highlighted, allow us to welcome up our panelists. We'll read out all their names. Panelists, if you hear your name, we'll invite you to join us on stage and take your seat. And after that, we will invite our moderator and hand the stage over to her. So our first panelist that we would like to invite is none other than Madame Shimaden Adatan Sanadi, la présidente de la Madame Sanadi veuillez nous joindre sur l'étage, présidente de l'autorité de protection des données. N'importe où, ici ou là-bas peut-être? Merci. Oui, c'est mieux. Merci. We also would like to welcome Daniel Femi, who is the Privacy and Data Protection Lead, Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa of MasterCard. Please join us on stage.
Welcome,
Daniel Femi.
Welcome.
We also have
Tommy Francis.
Tommy Francis is the Senior Manager, Security Assurance at Amazon Web Service, AWS. Please join us on stage, Tommy Francis. We would also like to welcome on stage John Walubengo, a lecturer at the Multimedia University. It's great that our education partners are here as well. So that the next generation, we've already seen what the next generation is doing.
Oh, yeah.
So welcome, John Walubengo. We're happy to have you here.
And we have Head for International Affairs and Data Flows,
Director General Justice and Consumers at European Commission, Bruno Gansarelli.
Bruno
Welcome.
is joining us online. Bruno, if you can hear us, could we have our media team confirm that Bruno is indeed online? There he is. Bruno, wave at everybody so we can... There we go. That's Bruno. And we also would like to welcome Natasha Jackson. Ms. Natasha Jackson is the head of Public Policy and Consumer Affairs at GSMA. Ms. Natasha Jackson, please do join us on stage. Thank you for being here. Ari Ness is a policy advisor, global data policy and privacy at the U.S. Department of Commerce, International Trade Administration. Ari Ness, please do join us, sir.
Excellent, excellent. And we're ready?
We are ready indeed. We now need to just introduce our moderator and hand over the stage to her, Ms. Rose Mosero, who is the Deputy Data Commissioner Compliance at the ODPC. C'est la commissaire adjointe aux données, conformité au bureau du commissionnaire à la protection des données pour cette panel discussion. D'accord?
Merci beaucoup. And now to give us the keynote address, Engineer John Tanui, Principal Secretary, State Department of ICT and Digital Economy, Kenya. Karibu sana. Welcome. Bienvenue, Makofi. A big round of applause, please. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And immediately after that, we kick off the panel.
Thank you. Once again, the chairperson NADPA, Madam Maden Atatan Sanadi, my colleague Jan Kipa Saiti, PS of Information Gambia, our colleague, the private sector and partners who are here, Airtel, AWS, we had KCP, and several other partners here. Our colleagues from the public sector, CEOs present, once again, good afternoon. This is a very important session for us to go deep into issues to do with cross-border data governance, challenges, and opportunities. The information age is defined in part by the huge volume of electronic data that continuously flows across jurisdictions, and the digital trade is now a mainstay feature of our modern world. In today's digital economy, data cannot be constrained by national borders. Furthermore, the internet is a powerful engine of economic growth that has fostered competitive trade markets, enabling companies of all sizes in all sectors to compete in a global marketplace free from geographic limitations. It's not only large enterprises that benefit from digital trade. A global study found that small and medium-sized companies that rely heavily on internet services typically have about 22% greater revenue growth than those that use the internet minimally. Technological developments have had a major impact on the amount of data being generated daily. Significant technological advances in how data is recorded and retained are provided businesses and consumers with access to inexpensive data storage that may be accessed in real time from anywhere in the world, doubling the instances of growth of data. Sorry. My apologies, a minute. Small and medium-sized businesses are now able to connect with billions of potential customers across the world, competing on the quality of products rather than their location. The free flow of data is also critical to traditional businesses such as manufacturers, healthcare providers, educators, and financial institutions. Some estimate that 75% of the value created by internet commerce accrues to companies that rely on but do not necessarily develop the internet that enables their products. At the heart of the government's bottom-up agenda in Kenya lies the pivotal role of data at a domestic level. As part of our ongoing commitment here in Kenya to enhance digital transformation, the government is implementing a foundational initiative. We call it the Digital Superhighway. This includes the ambitious deployment of 100,000 kilometers of fiber, building 25,000 public Wi-Fis, enabling establishment of 1,450 digital hubs for skills development and access of global opportunities. The government recognizes the need to leverage technology for socio-economic development of our nation and also of our continent. However, there is an increasing volume and complexity of data being exchanged across borders, and concerns about data privacy, data security have rightfully come to the forefront. As stewards of our citizens' digital rights, it's incumbent upon us, all of us, especially the aides of data protection authorities, to strike a delicate balance between facilitating the data flow and also for economic growth and ensuring safeguards are in place to protect individuals' privacy. We must forge partnership with like-minded countries and organizations to promote cross-border data flows while upholding high standards of data protection. Earlier on, you heard about the comments from the EU on what Kenya is doing. This includes exploring mechanisms such as adequacy decisions, which facilitate the seamless transfer of data between one jurisdiction that have comparable levels of data protection and regulations so that we harmonize our data flows. Moreover, fostering regional cooperations is very essential. We must channel resources into secure data infrastructure, bolstering our capacity. This encompasses the establishment of resilient data storage and transmission systems, training a skill worked up to the data management requirements of cybersecurity, and cultivation of a collective ethos of data responsibility among both businesses and government entities. The commendable collaboration is exemplified by the network of data protection authorities led by the chairperson here, and we are proud of you. And it stands as a pivotal stride towards facilitating data flows in our continent. In addressing cross-border data transfer, we must consider both data localization requirements and privacy regulations. It's imperative that governments work together to understand the underlying interest when developing, ensure that local privacy regimes do not unnecessarily restrict the trade. We must facilitate trade and at the same time optimize our investments as a continent. Today I stand before you to dispel some of these myths that imply that maybe by putting data centers to secure or to focus on your country, you are achieving better data privacy, but that is not so. I think investing in cloud solutions, adopting proper policy frameworks is the only way to ensure we consolidate our capabilities as a continent and utilize infrastructure and digital platforms available to us in the continent. As we continue with this conversation, I encourage us to come out at the end with a clear framework that will also allow us as a continent to achieve a level of adequacy so that it doesn't bother us or we have no problem where data is stored as long as we adopt an agreed data framework. So with those remarks, thank you very much and wish you a grateful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed. Many thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 minutes past 1 p.m. I'd kindly request our moderator, you have 45 minutes. I will have a timer just to guide you through. In the meantime, all your questions via menti.com.
over to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, PS, distinguished delegates present. I'll stand on the protocol of those that have come before me. Much has been said about the benefits of cross-border data transfer, which includes economic benefits, the ease of trade. However, Africa has some ways to go when it comes to cross-border transfer, with challenges such as restrictions to transfer, a lack of harmonized legislation, perhaps even a lack of appropriate infrastructure and security. To this end, I'm glad that we have a very distinguished panel to discuss, both from a policy level, practitioner level, as well as a regulator view on some of these issues. To start, because we are here courtesy of NADPA, I will start with the president of the NADPA, Madame Sanadi. Bonjour et bienvenue. One of the questions that I'd like to ask is, my apologies, with NADPA initiatives, there are obviously some active steps that NADPA has made, and we have to recognize some of those. What are some of the matters that you're dealing with when it comes to cross-border data transfer and enforcement and regulation, because the two do go hand in hand? And are there present challenges that you're experiencing, and what initiatives are set or are being thought of and implemented as we move forward to have a cross-border data transfer policy or framework for NADPA countries?
Je vous remercie de cette opportunité que vous nous offrez pour un peu parler de notre organisation des autorités de protection des données à caractère personnel. Donc, je voudrais rappeler pour l'essentiel le but de cette organisation, c'est surtout le réseau a été créé dans le but de nous renforcer mutuellement. Donc, nous avons pour objectif aussi de faire la promotion de la protection des données à caractère personnel partout en Afrique. Donc, nous voulons à ce que tous les pays africains puissent disposer de lois adéquates sur la protection des données à caractère personnel. Maintenant, par rapport à la gouvernance des transports transfrontaliers, les défis qui sont liés au transfert frontalier, je voudrais les rappeler. Donc, naturellement, c'est l'adoption des lois de protection des données à caractère personnel. Comme je disais tantôt, donc notre objectif, c'est que chaque pays africain puisse disposer d'une loi et d'une institution chargée de l'application de cette loi. Nous avons aussi pour objectif d'harmoniser nos lois et nos pratiques. Donc, dans ce cadre, au niveau du réseau africain des autorités de protection des données personnelles, nous avons créé des groupes de travail aussi qui doivent réfléchir dans ce sens. Donc, nous avons un groupe de travail qui doit réfléchir essentiellement sur l'harmonisation des lois. Vous savez que l'Union africaine a adopté la Convention de Malabo, donc sur la cybersécurité et la protection des données à caractère personnel. Et nous savons que cette loi aujourd'hui a besoin d'être revue et actualisée par rapport à l'évolution technologique et pour tenir compte aussi de la réglementation internationale. Donc, le réseau, en tout cas, est en train de travailler pleinement par rapport à l'harmonisation de nos lois. Donc, cette harmonisation présente aussi des défis naturellement économiques. Donc, les entreprises, dans le cadre de leurs besoins d'expansion, d'augmentation de leurs profits, ont tendance à s'implanter dans plusieurs pays. Nous en sommes conscients. Et la facilitation des transferts transfrontaliers de données leur facilitera cela tout en réduisant les coûts puisque en cas de non-transfert transfrontalier, il faudra qu'elle procède par l'installation des magasins de données dans chaque pays, ce qui a naturellement un coût. Donc nous privilégions aussi la coopération et le partenariat, d'abord entre nous-mêmes, membres du réseau africain de protection des données à caractère personnel. Lorsque le cas se présente, donc, nous signons des conventions entre nous pour faciliter les échanges déjà entre les différentes autorités de façon mutuelle. Et naturellement, comme je disais tantôt, cette réflexion d'harmoniser nos lois sur le plan africain aussi est engagée. Ensuite, comme défi aussi, nous avons en Afrique la ZLECAF, dans le cadre de la zone de libre-échange continentale, donc pour faciliter la circulation des biens et des personnes. Les dispositions doivent être prises afin de faciliter les transferts transfrontaliers de données à caractère personnel. Autre défi que je voulais citer, donc les avantages transfrontaliers se présentent à 3 niveaux. Au niveau des particuliers, c'est-à-dire les consommateurs de services numériques, au niveau des organisations et au niveau des entreprises. Les avantages se présentent aussi au niveau des États ou de nos sociétés de manière générale. Pour les particuliers, donc la consommation de produits numériques, il y a l'interaction entre les personnes et les organisations partout dans le monde. Il y a l'accès à une large gamme de produits et services disponibles en ligne et aussi les opportunités professionnelles qui se présentent. Pour les organisations ou les responsables, que nous appelons aussi responsables de traitement, donc le transfert permettra l'amélioration de l'efficacité, surtout en ce qui concerne les petites organisations qui peuvent commercialiser et livrer leurs idées, les biens et services, les entreprises internationales et de tout genre donc, qui adoptent des stratégies de transformation numérique orientées sur les données pour sécuriser leur avenir. La qualité des services et de réduction des coûts, cela améliorera naturellement l'investissement, le développement des capacités techniques des employés et puis la satisfaction de la clientèle. Pour les États et la société en général, le développement de l'économie numérique a une dimension internationale de flux de biens, services et de fonds à faire croître les produits intérieurs bruts mondiaux. Il y a aussi la fourniture de services publics de meilleure qualité, l'amélioration du bien-être général et l'augmentation du niveau de vie. Donc, en résumé, je voudrais juste rassurer en tout cas l'Assemblée ici présente que les réseaux africains des autorités de protection des données à caractère personnel est conscient de l'utilité de développer l'économie numérique dans nos pays et du développement, comment on appelle, de la mise en place vraiment d'une législation adéquate pour permettre les flux transfrontaliers de données à caractère personnel. Pour cela, le réseau est dans la dynamique de travailler avec les institutions régionales pour voir dans quelles possibilités faciliter dans les meilleurs délais cette harmonisation de nos lois, réviser la Convention de Malabo, la rendre conforme aux standards internationaux de protection des données à caractère personnel. Et la dynamique est déjà engagée pour travailler avec l'Union africaine sur la révision de cette loi, de cette convention. C'est l'essentiel de ce que je voulais partager avec vous. Je vous remercie.
Thank you so much for that, Madam Sanadi. And just jumping onto that there has been much talk about the EU-Kenya potential adequacy decision. So we have Bruno Giancarelli on the line. Bruno, how can Kenya benefit from an adequacy decision, but also are you able to speak from a region-to-region cross-border data sharing, how that would actually pan out for Africa? We've seen, even from the talk before, that there are a number of African countries that also want to jump on board with this. What is the potential for that? How can they move forward? And what would this mean for Kenya and the continent?
It's a great privilege and a real pleasure to be with you, although virtually. Thank you very much to NAPTA, to ODPC, and of course, its chair, Immaculate Kasai, for the invitation. You've said it, there is great potential between the EU and African countries bilaterally, region to region, but that goes beyond all Africa and the EU. I think there is great potential around the world for this type of cooperation. So let me go briefly through both dimensions, the country to country, the bilateral dimension, and the region to region one. You've mentioned adequacy, indeed. That opportunity is based on the increasing convergence between our legal frameworks regarding data protection. Our laws or rules don't need to be identical. They reflect different choices, different legal traditions, different societal choices, but they tend to increasingly converge on a number of fundamental points. Our systems in the EU, in Africa, and many other areas of the world are, for instance, based on individual rights, based on a governance model with a central role for an independent authority. And this is the type of convergence that creates those opportunities. And that's why, indeed, we have with Kenya a launch, and our chargé d'affaires in Nairobi has mentioned that earlier, adequacy talks. So what is adequacy and what are the advantages of adequacy? Well, adequacy is a quite unique tool we have, and you have a similar one in your system. That's why also there's a possibility for this arrangement to be reciprocal, to basically assimilate a foreign country to a member country of the EU when it comes to privacy and data flows. And that means that when we will reach, and I'm very confident we will, an adequacy finding with Kenya, data will flow between, I don't know, Paris and Nairobi, as it is flowing between Paris and Berlin, with no obstacles, condition, requirements. That, of course, offers enormous benefits in terms of market access, in terms of investment, in terms of facilitating trade or other form of cooperation, as data flows are at the center of almost any human activity, from research to regulatory cooperation. Adequacy has huge advantages and huge comparative advantages also compared to other transfer mechanisms, because, as I said, it can cover an entire jurisdiction and not, for instance, specific companies. It is immediately available with no cost. It's a cost-free instrument. There's no further conditional requirements, such as, for instance, in the case of certification, no other conditional requirements to fulfill. So that's, of course, extremely important for smaller companies, micro companies, small and medium companies that want to have easy to use and not a costly compliance mechanism. As I said, by having this free and safe flow of data, that's a huge, a very significant enabler, a facilitator of trade, and that with Kenya is, of course, is particularly relevant when that adequacy arrangement will be in place. It will complement and amplify the benefits of the recently concluded economic partnership agreement between the EU and Kenya. But there's also a dimension that goes beyond that. There are more and more countries with which we have an adequacy decision around the globe, from Argentina to Japan, and there's a network effect of adequacy. When we find that a country offers that similar level of protection to ours, it doesn't mean only free flow with the EU. It means free flow with around 20 or more other jurisdictions around the globe that recognize our adequacy finding as also valid instruments under their own laws. So you see the potential of that network effect. And indeed, we are discussing this type of arrangement with Kenya, with other countries in Africa, with other countries around the world. Just an example of a non-African country is Brazil. I hope you're still hearing me, because the screen has, I don't have any image or
We can still hear
screen,
you,
so
Bruno.
I hope I'm still connected. If maybe you can confirm that, because
Yes, yes, Bruno, we can hear
now
you.
I have an echo.
I don't know whether you can hear us, but we can certainly hear you. Maybe someone can put on the chat.
Is it working?
It is.
Don't have any image, any, and I had an echo. Now it seems that this is resolved. Did you hear me, or was I interrupted somewhere?
No, that's fine, Bruno. You can keep going. Maybe as we're fixing the technical issues, we can come back, given the time limitations that we have. We can come back to Bruno. I think the next question that I'll come to is, Bruno's mentioned Bruno's talked about adequacy decisions, but there are a number of other tools that are available as we wait to see what adequacy will look like for African countries. As has been mentioned, there is a lack of harmonization of laws, and this is a step that is being made. So maybe we can have a conversation on a policy level about what these other tools are and the benefits of some of the other tools that have been adopted. So with that, I will ask Ari Ness, and then we'll move on to Natasha to also talk about the practicalities of some of these. So Ari.
Great. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me here. As you mentioned, my name is Ari Ness, and I work for the U.S. Department of Commerce on data policy in Africa and the Middle East. Rose, you mentioned well, it's been mentioned a number of times, the fragmentation across Africa, but that's not unique to Africa, right? We're seeing that across the globe, and every single country, although we have very similar concepts that are implemented in our data protection laws, there's enough variation across them that creates these regulatory barriers. When I first started doing this work, I used to ask data protection authorities, in order to learn, I would say, what are your major issues? And I learned that that wasn't a great question. It's a good way to start a therapy session, perhaps. But I started asking, what are the major issues to you right now? Because that's when you can really start seeing the specific differences from country to country, rather than this greater understanding, which I think is also important, which is we all are trying to figure out how to properly protect the data and keep it private while still allowing data to be transferred. And so at that high level, how do we transfer data while still allowing it to be protected and maintain those protections? We have a number of different options in the toolbox that we see generally, right? So we have adequacy, which was discussed. We have standard contractual clauses. We have binding corporate rules. And we have certifications and codes of conduct. And I'm going to talk just for a second about the certifications piece, which is, I think, a new development on the global scene, which is the Global Cross-Border Privacy Rules Forum, which attempts to take this certification and operationalize it into a way that would work for all countries across the globe. diving in a bit deeper, we also see that data protection authorities, in order to facilitate these data transfers and also in order to ensure the data is protected, need resources and capacity. And so when we ask, what are your major issues for you right now, what we often hear is personal development and training, or we hear we need resources for public awareness, or we hear we need resources for building out the legislation, or honestly, a big part of this also, I think, and which is why it's very exciting to be here, is enforcement cooperation. And so it's really great to have an institution like NADPA where that enforcement communication and cooperation is happening. One thing I'll flag for everybody here is if we wanted to zoom out and look at a global scale, one of the organizations, there's a few organizations that work on enforcement cooperation, but one organization that was recently launched is the Global CAPE, the Global Cooperation Arrangement for Privacy Enforcement, which specifically was created to facilitate this enforcement cooperation on cross-border data sharing. And some of you who may have heard me speak before may say, well, Ari, this is just another piece of CBPR's. But it's not. There are countries and jurisdictions that are a member of that are not members of CBPRs that are members of the Global CAPE. So it is a separate entity and something that could be looked at as a global, introducing the global conversation as well. The last thing I'll just mention, which was also mentioned before, is by allowing a large toolbox for data transfers. The more tools that are available, what you're going to see as well is that particularly small and medium-sized businesses who don't have the resources and don't have the legal teams to comply will be able to choose which tool works best for them, and will be able to break into more markets. And by facilitating enforcement and cooperation on top of that, will not only allow small and medium-sized businesses to break into new markets, but will also be able to facilitate the enforcement cooperation that would maintain the data protection. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Ari. One of the things that I see as a key factor here is how corporations, including MSMEs, can actually participate in all of this. But I will come to Natasha. GSMA has done a lot of work when it comes to cross-border data transfers for the telecommunications sector mostly. What are you seeing as a trend, some of the challenges, because this is a global issue, and especially with the implementation of the tools that are being utilized when it comes to cross-border data transfer?
Thank you, and thank you also for having me here. I'm delighted to be here today. For those of you who don't know the GSMA, we're the global association for mobile operators around the world. So all the mobile operators in any of your countries will be our members, and we work with them together on issues that affect them all. So as Rose said, we've been working on cross-border data for a number of years. I think about 8 or 9 by now. The first few years, we're really talking about the benefits of cross-border data and the free flow of data with trust. And I'm really delighted today that everybody seems to be recognizing those benefits, so we've definitely made progress there. When we talk to our members, and our operator members in particular, the first concerns they have is about making sure that the right frameworks are in place nationally, and clearly that is the priority. And at the same time, where we've been really pleased at seeing the number of new or updated data protection laws going in, giving that certainty for business, we also, are worried about the amount of localization rules and laws there are in place. And these can be, for mobile operators, across many different places. It could be in cybersecurity law. It could be in a telecoms license restriction. It could be in the financial services law that affects our mobile money operators from allowing data to cross borders with trust. Regional harmonization has always been something that GSMA members are very keen on, and all of the mechanisms that we heard today that allow data to flow are things that we support. And it's really about finding what's right in the right country. Adequacy from the EU, we've heard all the benefits of it. It's great, but it does take a long time, and so we do need these alternative mechanisms, as Ari talked about. Standard contractual clauses, binding corporate rules, a lot of those are used by large companies, particularly in Europe. But when you talk to them, when we talk to large companies, they talk about, 15 to 20% of their privacy team members just working on the paperwork for those sorts of things. And that's not where we want to have our privacy professionals working. And certainly in Africa, you want these companies who are building up their privacy expertise to be working on things like privacy by design, on security by design, on privacy-enhancing technologies. That's where the privacy and the data protection expertise that's being built up in companies needs to be focused, not on lawyering and papering contracts. So when we look at other mechanisms around the world, Ari mentioned the global cross-border privacy rules that came from APEC. Out there, it puts the onus back on companies. If the company itself can get certified, then it can allow data to flow, and then that is almost like a one-stop shop that it will allow it to then focus its resources on doing the right things, on protecting their customers' and citizens' data. So I think really for us, there isn't one mechanism. I'm not going to say it's this mechanism or that. It's about having that variety, but really being pragmatic. And the worry I think we have is that it needs to happen now. And in a continent that's built on the digital economies and dreams of digital transformation, it needs to be happening now. It was great to hear there's so much work going on in NADPA already on this. But I think the more companies, countries, governments, and data protection authorities can be pragmatic, mutually recognize schemes that work elsewhere, find the shortcuts to get to a place where data can travel and it's still privacy and security is maintained. The sooner we can do that, the sooner these economies will take off even further. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Natasha. I think we hear your urgency or your plea for urgency in terms of the activities that we're doing. I'll go back to Bruno. I think he's back on. Bruno, if you can hear us. I think the technology cut you off, so I think you can finish.
I was interrupted. There was no screen. There was an echo. So I don't know what you've heard. I'm not going to, of course, repeat what I was trying to explain in terms of the benefits of adequacy. I was, of course, listening very carefully to the other panelists. This is not a beauty contest between transfer tools. We all believe in the usefulness of a broad transfer toolbox. At the same time, we want that those transfer tools do not undermine the protection at home and maintain a level playing field between companies at home and companies abroad. That's very important, and that's what we believe tools such as contractual clauses, BCRs, or adequacy can ensure. Being based on rights, being based on access to court, etc. The other dimension that I wanted to briefly mention, apart from the bilateral one and the work that I did, we are doing with Kenya, with other jurisdictions in Africa and around the world, I mentioned Brazil, is that we see also a great demand and great opportunities for region-to-region work. In each of our region, data protection authorities have organized themselves